gentlemen, Dr. Talitha Washington.
Thank you. It's good to be here. So my name is Talitha Washington. I'm an applied mathematician at Howard University, and I'm on detail at the National Science Foundation. So let's get first things first out the way. This is my talk. I represent no organization. You know the NSF disclaimer. That's how we roll. So this is all my opinions. So as any good math mama would do, I went and asked my kids, what does innovation mean to you? Now the one on the left, she's a 9th grader. She says, Mom, don't you know? Because as an 8th grade, she took Intro to Engineering Design. So she was like, of course, you create something that adds value. You make life better for yourself, life better for other people. I said, okay, that sounds good. And then I asked my oldest one on the other side. She's a first-year student at Howard, computer science major. Whoop, whoop, HU. I said, well, what is innovation? And how do we train you as a student for innovation? She got all excited talking about her engineering courses, talking about computer science and how they get to see real-world applications. I said, okay, that's nice. What about the S and the M in STEM, their science and math courses? The conversation went silent. I will say that she said that in mathematics and I think it was a physics course, science courses, we don't do innovation as well as engineers. I think there's some disconnects in innovation going across the whole STEM rainbow, let's say, that we can learn from each other to bring that excitement to life. But as an applied mathematician, much of my work interacts with the world. And just to give you an idea about this whole innovation, I kind of see myself on the left sometimes, where I have this idea, and then I want to refine it, I want to go conquer the world, that sort of thing, and design solutions to problems, and then develop them and implement them. So I see this as an innovation funnel that we travel through. Sometimes it gets a little gritty, but the challenge is always fun. So I'm just going to share with you tonight my 3 big ideas that are essential to cultivating our nation's STEM talent. So the first thing is to expand the knowledge base. On the upper left, that's my grandpa. I would call him Grandpa Wangren. He's a Lutheran minister, and he would come to the house, he would crouch like this and say, Talitha, what did you learn today? Tell me one thing you learned. I said, well, it'd be, what, 2nd grade? 3 + 5 = 8? Okay, good, you're done learning for the day. You just have to learn one new thing every day. So he planted a seed in me that I just have to learn one new thing every day, which over a course of time, it adds up to a large knowledge base. I entered into Spelman College as as an engineering major first. I kind of switched over to math. Please forgive me. I didn't know what I was doing, I guess. And I was in a research program where they paid for us to do research. I didn't see myself as a researcher, but other people saw me as that. And I looked at the stability of finite difference schemes. I also had to beg and barter and negotiate to go study abroad in a Spanish-speaking country. Once we had a change of chair, I could go. And I ended up taking mathematics courses in Mexico. Now, today, I'm an applied mathematician. I still use difference equations, and I'm also a co-lead for the new Hispanic Serving Institutions program at the National Science Foundations. So both of these different knowledge bases, completely different, have come together in a nice way in my career moving forward. So the second one is to be creative and take action. Now on the left-hand side, you see the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. This was a bridge in Washington State. It was put up on July 1st in 1940. It actually exhibited torsional oscillations and vertical oscillations, and it earned the name Galloping Gertie. However, on November 7th of the same year, it collapsed into the Sound, and you can actually see the concrete go up and down. People wondered, why did this bridge collapse? Of course, the physicists said, oh, it was resonance. I don't think the wind gusts matched the frequency of the bridge. The engineers said, oh, it was the vortex shedding. Professor Ferguson came and calculated, and it didn't match the structure of the bridge. Of course, the mathematician came along and said it was a nonlinearity of the springs, because the springs exhibit a force when the roadbed is stretched versus compressed. Think spring mass. And so my PhD student, who's on the left, He took the math model for the Tacoma Narrows Bridge and was able to be creative and create finite difference schemes to discretize it in a nice way so we can model it and do simulations on the computer. He's now doing data science in Baltimore. The third component, assess your additive value. What am I adding? What am I adding to my HBCU, my community, my country, my nation? So on the upper right, you have Howard graduate, right? Taraji Henson portraying Katherine Johnson in the movie Hidden Figures, where she's writing out the trajectories, trying to figure out the equations of getting the Friendship 7 space shuttle back safely on Earth. You see, initially, this Friendship 7 was going around the Earth on an elliptical path, the elliptical orbit, but they needed to bring it back down, decelerate at the right time, the right force, so that it would come back and follow a parabolic trajectory. You can almost think about a step function where you're trying to link together an elliptical orbit with a parabolic orbit. But of course, you don't want to go too crazy because you don't want to be a jerk to John Glenn, right? Get that jerk? Yeah. So, but with Katherine Johnson, I mean, her additive value, just being there, being present, being heard, and just really working hard to get all of those calculations right. When President Obama brought her in and gave her a National Medal of Science, she said, you know, if you think your job is hard, her job meant if you forget to carry the one, that means somebody is going to go off up into space. So at the National Science Foundation, we look towards the future. What will education in STEM look like? How do we need to train our students for jobs that don't even yet exist? And so one of the components is the Arctic Circle. How is this ecosystem changing? We need to understand what's going on because, well, it has a very big impact in our world. We also have data science. We have more computing power. What does that mean? How can we harness this data so we can learn more? Human-centered computing, phenotypes. So we're looking towards the future. What will STEM of the future be so that we can actually be a nice additive resource for the STEM community and for our nation? In the cycle of innovation, we all have a role. I always see myself, I think I'm still 20-something maybe, as young, coming into it. I have a new idea, I'm excited, I want to go. And then we get on our project teams, we use the diversity of thought of our peers to figure out and solve new problems, either through collaborations through universities or fantastic organizations like BEYA. And then perhaps we can come up with different innovative ideas that will create value to our life, to our world. But as we all know, sometimes we try, we fail, we try, we fail, but eventually we'll loop out, and together we can make that success. So I just want to encourage each one of you all to help grow our STEM innovators of the future. And even if you are the only one in the room, in that boardroom, not heard, your idea gets shoved aside, people leave your team because they don't like something, who knows? I would say keep pressing on because we need more innovatives. We have a lot of problems to solve, and we need everybody at the table to solve them. Thank you.